this is pretty much it. So if it ends, it ends. Glad to know I'm not the only one struggling with this kind of stuff. Looked at Randy Gregory and I saw kind of a kindred spirit. I had misjudged the guy. You just don't know. And there's some guys who still say, I don't feel any pity for him. He's got all that talent and blah, 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 blah. I was like, I've heard that 1,000 times over. Everybody says you got all this talent, quote unquote. Talent don't mean anything if your heart's not in it. Talent doesn't mean anything if you're surrounded by assholes. That's my problem. Everybody talks about how much talent you got, and your abilities. But if half of you, before you can even use your talent and abilities, you've got to deal with assholes, that takes a lot out of you. You see, whenever some idiot or asshole tells you you got so much talent and ability, what that means is you got something that I want to use. Not in the right, smart way, like your talent indicates that we should be used, but in my dumb, stupid way that I want you to use it. You know, it's like a woman with big tits. Big tits are great for everybody who's looking at them and want to squeeze them and grab them and pull them and bite on them and do all sorts of painful things with them. It's not great for the guy who has the big tits, or it's not great for the person who has the big tits, though. They got to carry around the weight and be stared at constantly, and then try to find clothes that hide that shit because you don't want the attention all the time. Everybody envies you because you got big tits. But nobody knows what it's like to live with them. And that's what it's like to have talent and ability. All they see is the tits. They don't see the poor bearer who has to carry them around. Alright. You like big tits? I think they're alright. It's kind of a weird thing, eh? I watch so much porn that it's not the tits, it's the effort. Most of the girls in my favorite folder, they aren't the prettiest. They don't have big tits, they don't have a big ass. But man, they have a shitload of enthusiasm and ability. It's kind of like that in the athletic world. You see this guy, he don't look like much. He doesn't look like much. He limps whenever he walks back to the huddle. Doesn't really light up the stat sheet. But when you see him play, it becomes painfully obvious why he's out there. You're just like, man, this guy's sick. He's hurt. He's out. Team struggles. It's like, what's his name? Well, he's hurt. It's not the guy scoring touchdowns or three-pointers or baskets or whatever. A lot of assholes out here. Of course, it is 7 o'clock. You know, the sportscasters, they all call it, or I guess even the coaches, they call it the intangibles. Maybe that's right. It's the stuff you can't quite touch on. Talent. I wish I had your talent. I was like, if you had my talent and your brains, you still have nothing. I don't think I'll ever shop at a Foot Locker again. It's just weird things. I look over and I see all these stores and I realize I'll never go into any of them. Like Chinese food is high fat, high carbs. So probably never gonna eat Chinese food again. Myself. Let me rephrase that. Myself. I live with two folks eating nothing but junk food. I get up, I look over, and I look over the stove. They got a box of onion rings, and I'm like, no. No. My mom said, oh, you can have this soup. You can have some of that soup I made. Her soup, quote unquote soup, is a shitload of noodles. There's like hardly any broth in it. It was all noodles and chopped up vegetables and a bunch of scraps of meat. It was kind of stew or ramen. They got every sidewalk around here just fucked up. Sweet. Nothing. I just realized I could have got hit. Bop! Think it'll happen one day? Probably. Probably. Hajime. Well, I guess the Carl Jr.'s closes at a certain hour. Wouldn't blame him in this neighborhood. As soon as the lights go out, so do we. I think about taking another martial art. I want to take it up martial arts again, but then realize one of the common complaints is they're not teaching you how to fight. They're teaching you how to look like you know how to fight. In other words, a lot of people pay a fortune for martial arts and they do all this stuff and it teaches them systems. But it doesn't really teach them anything about how to engage in what happens when you actually get into a fight. I guess I kind of felt that way about school too. I'm reading about the theory about this, the history of this. And they say, all right, I need you to program me a database. I was like, I didn't really learn that in school. I learned about what databases do and concepts, but I didn't really learn how to make one. Like, oh, yeah, sorry. I know a lot of terminology. I know kind of why it works. But when it comes down to it, you have to get in front of the computer and just practice it yourself. And that's, you can't put that on a resume. Well, I've had over 1,000 hours writing programs. Versus, oh, I've got a bachelor's degree in this, and this was my area of study. That's where interviews come in. You're not going to be interviewed by the guy who wants you to do the job. Sometimes. That's how it was in some of the interviews I went to. I suppose it'd work out that way now. Now I keep hearing about guys going to Google. And it's so sad because you watch it. This especially happens. It especially happens for people who went to who went to school in Asian countries, where it's all about rigorous routine. And then when the interviewer asks them an out of the box question, they freeze up. So now their entire course is coaching you on how to answer interview tips. I was just like, all right. It's like, we're going to teach you how to fake being spontaneous. So good luck with that. If the guy asks you, how would you move a mountain? Here are some answers that you can try. And the guy will ask that question, and like in 50 interviews, he'll hear the people say the same thing. It's like, well, it looks like they all took the same course on how to answer these questions. Sometimes the job will just drill down and ask you directly. I got a database that's giving me this error. You look at the program, you look at these code, and what do you think might be the problem? I was like, well, it looks like you got this going on, that going on, blah, blah, blah. That's what the guy who's done this before. The other guy just looks at it and he says, I couldn't tell you. Or they bullshit. Press Control Alt Delete. Yes. Yes, that is how you fix that problem. Thank you for showing up. Says you're on the top of our list. No. Well, my problem has always been one of confidence. But as I sit here at 40, I know what I am. I'm good, I'm just slow. That's the unfortunate part, is that I live in a speed-driven world. They need it now. And then everybody wants you to do that multitasking bullshit. And I was like, and they even got studies now that are saying that multitasking is bullshit. It's especially bullshit where you need somebody to do 2 tasks at 100%, and the best they can give you is 2 tasks at 50% or differing percentages. You only have two eyes and 2 ears and 1 mouth. With multitasking, they expect you to be some kind of weird-looking alien creature with 3 brains and 6 eyes. Even computers struggle with multitasking. My computer, it says that, you know, I can do video editing, and at the same time I can surf the web and do this and the other. And it's kind of accurate. You're watching the video while you're rendering the video. Suddenly the video stutters or lags, or the guy's talking, but the audio takes a while to catch up. This is a quad-core processor with 16 gigs of RAM. Should be able to handle this. No. My video card has like 8 cores. And they still only can do 1 task at a time. The bottom line is money makes everybody unrealistic. You watch the TV shows and they got the super hacker. And he's some actor just tapping and just hammering away at the keyboard with random keys. And he's belting out the tech buzzwords while getting a blowjob from the girl, and then all of a sudden there's the guy with he's the major crime lord, and he's got a stylish goatee and a tie and all that other shit. And you're just laughing the whole time. It's like, yeah, it never happens like that. There's a guy hitting a couple of keys. Before they got together, he wrote a program where he just kind of hits a couple of sequence of keys and the thing automatically runs. He never meets the guy with the goatee. They just correspond back and forth through emails or in a liaison. What about the blowjob? What about the blowjob? That's the most important part. I was like, I guess with the money they're funneling you, you can pay for your own. But the geek's probably got a girlfriend. She's the one providing the blowjobs. I don't know, every once in a while I get to talk to these talented guys, and they're like, what I see the talented guy is, you're looking at the output of his work and you're thinking, oh, he got that, he put that together right then and there. I was like, no, it took him a week. And the first time he did it, it sucked. The second time he did it, it sucked. He figured it out about the third or fourth time after not having enough sleep and accidentally nodding off, and it came to him. Mad Men's probably about the only show that accurately reflected sometimes the creative process. It's a guy that just kind of lounges around, and then one day the brilliant idea comes to him, and all of a sudden he's energized and jazzed, and he starts working it. I worked with a lot of guys that were like John Draper, man. It was just like, when are we gonna get this? When are we gonna get this? Are you doing anything? I'll get it. And the deadline's coming, and you're just like, the hell, man? And he comes through the door, I got it. And it works, and you're like, okay. And you're thinking once or twice, oh, he's like, sometimes that just happens. He's just cutting it close. But when it always happens, you get really tired of it. You think about the guy that everybody lambasted him on, I think it was Twitter or one of those social media sites, where he said, I hate my job, I make a ton of money, but all I do is sit around surfing the web. He said, I automated my process using a script a long time ago, my bosses don't know about it. And they said, oh really? And he got fired. And everybody was like, no, you idiot. But I see it from his point of view. This dude wanted to be challenged, and he just wasn't. Everybody thinks it's going to be like Star Trek. The Klingons are surrounding you, taking a lot of damage to his vital systems. You're the chief engineer. All you've got is a ballpoint pen and a paper clip. And you got to get the the engines up and running in 5 minutes. But the task is going to take you 30. Usually you work out some miracle. All of a sudden you blast out of there and you warp out of there, and you get the cool alien green chick. What I found it is you go to talk to the person that wants you to develop this, they don't know what they want. You can't communicate it with them in a way to try to get what they, to get them to. It takes a while to sit there even to figure out what they want. So you have a general idea what you're going to be working with. You tell them how much time it's going to take. They just look at you funny. Why does it take that long? Because I got 4 or 5 other projects to do, and you wasted a lot of time not telling me what you wanted, and I got to sit here and come up with this thing from scratch. The thing that makes me laugh nowadays, though, is that if they have an idea what they want, you did some searching on the internet and you found it in like 2 seconds, and you're wondering why they couldn't have done the same thing. I was like, well, here's a product that has pretty much 95% of what you're looking for. Yeah, but we're still sticking on that 5%. I was like, well, you better adapt then. Take the 95%, and you adjust your processes to fit around it. A lot of times you ain't got to reinvent the wheel, someone already came out with it. I love that about converters. I take something I have to convert from one thing to another, and someone has already written something for it. What I hate is, yeah, but they wrote it in Perl. And in Perl you have to use this delimiter, and you're just like, and you're sitting there trying to put all these delimiters in, and it just looks completely weird and foreign and unreadable. And you hope it works, and it doesn't, and then you have to sit there and go through all the stupid Perl delimiters. Slash something slash. I was like, what the hell is this? It wasn't an example of that. Like in Linux, I had a program I was writing myself, or a little script, not even a program, just a little script I was writing myself for extracting a file, renaming it, and then packaging it all back together and moving it to a different location. I remember DOS had a rename command. I'm looking for one in Linux, and it's like, yeah, we've got two different flavors. And the one version they had was written for Perl, and had all these flags that you had to use Perl script to get it to work right, and then you had to put the path in the Perl using the Perl delimiters. And then there was hardly any man pages about it, and it was just an onerous command to use. And there was another version that was written in what was that thing written in? I think it was written in C. Really simple to use, really easy. Paths are human readable. Use human readable delimiters. But that meant that when I put the script in, I had to put rename.ui or ul or something like that. That's the problem with Linux. Sometimes you'll find a program, it does what you want it to do, but then you spend about an hour, sometimes you spend hours or days just trying to figure out how to use it. It's like it was written by somebody who, I don't know, it's like it was written by MC Escher. You gotta twist this way and do it that way and bend over that way. And I was like, why did you? South Park talks about that once. Where the Mr. Garrison came up with a bike that was really cool to use, but you had to put the one thing in your mouth to accelerate it, and you had to put this thing up your butt to steer it. And everybody's like, wait a minute, I found out this thing just got a steering wheel. And then Mr. Garrett's response was, yeah, you can use the steering wheel, but that'd just be retarded. I got these guys programming this thing, and they want me to stick this thing up my butt and stick another thing in my mouth, and I'm like, couldn't you have just programmed in a steering wheel? Well, I remember how many times I used to have to trying to get a joystick to work in Linux. And Joy to key and all these other different programs, and they all use command line, and you're sitting there trying to map the keys, and after a while you just throw it down and say, look, I'm just, and then that's when you dual boot it. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna stick with Windows. So you're surfing the web with Linux and playing video games with Windows. Now it has nothing to do with the mapping, it just has everything to do with, or it had everything to do with graphics cards. DirectX was king. I'm not going to play a video game tonight. Watch the Mavericks. Upload some videos to YouTube. I had this problem where I have like 600 games and I'm trying to figure out what to play. and I have no idea where to start. Right now I have Don't Starve loaded on my loaded on Steam OS, and the game is interesting, but I hate it. I hate it because it's too fucking hard. I'm playing it, and it's like the whole point of the game is to kind of try to get a structure built. The whole time you're trying to get a structure built, your guy's starving to death. So you're sitting there trying to gather all this stuff up. And just when they see you've got this stuff together, the game gets like infinitely harder. It says, oh, it looks like he's putting together a shelter. So it doesn't stay at the same difficulty level it stayed up to that point. Suddenly monsters start appearing. Your guy starts getting majorly sleep deprived. Some rift in a different dimension opens up, and I was like, wait a minute, what the? It's not a casual gamer game. I don't even think you can set the difficulties for it. That's the problem I'm running into, is that I got a lot of games where it looks like they were written for guys who never stopped gaming. And so they're used to, they got the fast reflexes. And they're like, I just need something that's a little bit more of a challenge. Whereas I'm trying to get back into it, and I'm just rusty as hell, and it would take me years to catch up to that or it would take me months of solid gaming to catch up to that level again. Like I was playing Super Meat Boy, and it's loaded with a bunch of retro video game homages, and it's kind of funny. But the game is hard as hell. Super Meat Boy eats it, you got to start all the way over from the beginning. There is no save, no middle point, or you know, Super Mario Brothers, at least it gave you a halfway point. It's like you got to this difficult part and you got to the halfway point and you're like, okay, let's begin. Super Meat Boy, there ain't no midway point. I said, you guys have played Mario before. Admit it, World 8 was just too easy. We're going to start you off on World 8 and we're going to make it infinitely more difficult after that. And I was like, okay. And some games are too easy. I was playing Bastion, and you just kind of slog through it, and you just button mashing and beating the hell out of things. There's no real strategy to it until you get to those mini games. I get to the mini game, and then I'm playing at one where you got this giant cannon that all it does is fire out. And I see the guys on the internet, and I was like, how did they do that? And they said, well, you got to set this and you got to set that. I said, I did that. And so, oh, you're playing this on Steam OS with an Xbox controller. It's like, yeah, they got a bug in that. And I was like, oh shit. So you're grabbing your keyboard and you got to sit here and try to remember the commands, and you're left, right, and with it. I was like, I fucking hate playing with the keyboard. You're hitting the space bar. And you learn there's a lock-on feature. You got the lock-on feature working. You're just smashing the keyboard, the keyboard. You finally pass, and you say, "I'm never doing that again." And that's gaming for me. Hoping that whatever I'm playing was a good enough port to where I could use a gamepad with it, or that if I have to use a keyboard and mouse, there's not like 26 keys that I have to memorize. RPGs are pretty cool. I get my little gamepad keyboard thing that's got like 9 keys on it. It's got an up, down, left, and right thumbstick. A few keys that you can use for inventory or whatnot. And they always make these things, I got big hands, so they always make these things where I have to sit to like scrunch my keys together, and all of a sudden my wrist starts to get sore. Carpal tunnel. Carpal tunnel. That was kind of funny too. Watching Daredevil. I think they've got the girl hacker, and she's got a wrist. She's got the wrist. What do they call that thing? A wrist brace. So, you know, she's a hacker with carpal tunnel. I was like, okay. I was like, how often does this happen? All the computer guys I knew, all the guys who were hacking, they had small hands, and they weren't getting carpal tunnel. My sister had carpal tunnel for like a month, and she didn't have to wear a brace anymore. So I'm just like, but the only corrective thing that brace, the kind of thing that I wear is I wear a neck pillow. Because every once in a while, staring up and down at that screen. Wait a minute, you know better than that. Ah, double cross. It makes the walk more fun when we do stupid shit like that. Like the guys at A&M, they put pennies on stuff and say hi to each other. I see a random X painted somewhere, I just got to do the double cross. One game I'm thinking about playing, Mask of the Ninja. I got really far in it. Really fun game. Is it Mask of the Ninja? Looks like it was done in Flashmation. The guy's got some kind of paint, some kind of tattoo on his back that gives him mystical powers. He's trying to take down some kind of evil corporation that I guess killed his dad or something. And he's got a female ninja that accompanies him. She's kind of the boss of everything. She guides you through the whole thing, and then after a while it's just like she doesn't actually do anything. Sometimes I wonder what would happen if my devices ran off of mine. If we could find a way to make our devices run off of our energy. Then I'd note it, like, you know, it's like you better load up on potato chips before you go walking. My camera, turns out it needs about 2,000 calories a day to function. You give it 2,000 calories and it'll work for 8 hours straight. Man, can you imagine? There'd be so many skinny people out there. It's like, girl, you lost so much weight. What's your secret? I use my cell phone all the time. Thing burns a lot of calories. You got your laptop plugged into your caloric calorie port. I guess that's redundant. Your caloric port. People just call it the cal port for short, or something like that. It's like, why is everybody? It's like, man, Starbucks is just making money hand over fist. What's going on? Everybody keeps buying biscottis every 15 minutes. Can I get a soy chai latte, something, you know, all those fancy words they use for coffees. Put about 20 sugars in that bad boy. People start eating like the Flash. I mean, we've got to do that Matrix thing, man. Turn human beings into batteries. A walking battery. I think that would work. I don't know. There's some scientist that probably says that we do it, but like people with pacemakers have to use battery packs. People with you know, replacement limbs. What are these? Orthotics. Is it orthotics? No. I used to know this because I was going to go into it. Oh, what's the word that they use? Prosthetics. You know, prosthetics that run off of the human body. They got the prosthetic hooked into one of your blood vessels. And you got a prosthetic that runs on the blood. The reason why it wouldn't work is human blood's pretty caustic. What I mean by that is the pH is 0, of course, but it has stuff in it that just kind of wears out. I'm not sure what it is that causes it. I just know that they tried the artificial heart, and the problem they had is a lot of times it was clotting, and then degrading of the seals and whatnot. It's such a tall order. You got a device that has to pump blood, and it has to be gentle enough to where it doesn't damage the blood cells, but it has to be rigorous enough to where it can maybe it's friction, where it can withstand the friction and the pressure and the sticky nature of blood vessels and capillaries, not capillaries, but shit, whatever those things are that cause you to clot. They actually had them on cells that were, they were cute little kids that were walking around making these nets. Everybody's like, oh, they're so cute. And they say, and they're all wearing hard hats. Those things. The things that hemophiliacs don't have. What do they call it? Platelets. How would I have dealt with the problem? I don't know, trying to find a way. I guess I built an artificial heart that that coats itself with a substance that protein can't stick to. But it had to be a substance that isn't toxic to the body. And then once a year you go in there and you have a doctor inject a port. There's a port on the artificial heart that he injects the substance into, and it's supposed to self-lubricate itself for a year. Or you can just do it yourself. Go down to the convenience store, pick you up some lubrication, and squirt it in. It's like, what would it be made out of? You know, for all I know, it might be buckyballs. They don't get caught, as long as they don't get clogged in your veins and arteries, cause clots. Buckyball lubricant. Might work. Powder or something that goes in there and the blood splashes up against it and it doesn't really stick all that well. Oh, the first half around this lake, I'm wearing all these stuff, and I'm like, I think I'm overdressed. And as soon as I got here, this cold breeze hit me, and I'm like, I think I'm adequately dressed. And that's the problem with Bachman Lake. I think I've said that 1,000 times. Yes, and I'm gauging in hyperbole, but I might have literally said it 1,000 times. But this lake makes you feel like a leftover. Warm on one side and frozen on another. This is the kind of stuff I think about in my free time. Used to be. How to solve problems. Now I'm so cynical I don't think about that stuff anymore. I think about what's wrong and why it stays wrong. I think about my idea for making some kind of buckyball artificial heart lubricant, and how the research and development would cost $1 billion, and the pharmaceutical companies would have a patent to it, and if I tried to come up with a patent to it, some patent trolls already drawn up a plan. Not something he actually executed, but just kind of threw out some buzzwords, and it just happened to be the buzzwords matched the actual practice of what I would be doing. Like the guy says, I already had an idea for buckyball lubricant. I was like, yes, but this is buckyball lubricant in an artificial heart valve. I was like, well, it's the same thing. It's got the word lubricant in it. I'm taking you to court. And all that gets thrown in, and next thing you know, I'm charging you $1,000 an ounce for buckyball lubricant. And I think about that, and I'm just like, you know what? Maybe it's the best if I didn't do anything at all. And that's why I don't do anything. It's just like, I started thinking about all the legal framework and the bullshit, and I just said, you know what? Maybe I just won't solve that problem. The cartoons, they make it look so beautiful and easy. It was just like the guy comes up with Professor Keen Bean, or some inventor comes up with some kind of wacky invention. He starts using it, and it helps the protagonist beat the bad guy. you're like, man, I want to do what that guy does. I was like, you can't anymore. You can't? No. You're not going to come up with a cool 3D printer or the replicator. Because as you're getting started, some patent troll is going to fuck up your ability to do it. Some corporate lawyer is going to come knocking on your door. We're going to need you to cease and desist. And then people say, oh, that's only if you're trying to make money off of it. It's like, sometimes it is. I wasn't trying to make money off my YouTube videos, and I still got slapped with that kind of stuff. I was like, I wasn't even trying to make money. I was trying to make it. I couldn't even make it. Like, I had a Creative Commons license on all my works. I can't even call them works. I'm just posting video of me walking around in case somebody wants to get homesick, or maybe I'm accidentally catching something that somebody wanted to focus on. I'm chronicling. And yeah, I'm talking in the background because I get bored and I'm tired. My lips just start running. So unfortunately, you got to hear this. Plus, I'm getting tired of hearing the traffic all the time. I'd love to put these to the background of music, but then I got to worry about the copyright on the music. So I do all this, and I can't put it on a Creative Commons license so that anybody can just freely use it. It's weird. It's annoying, actually, is what it is. That's why I'm not really eager to come up with any good ideas anymore. As a kid, I used to do that all the time. I'd tinker, I'd make stuff. I'd have these little inventions. It's nice that you did that. Well, we're really looking for somebody that does blank. I was like, okay. And that's what you deal with. You deal with the narrow-minded folks. It's nice that you've got a C++, or you got your not C++. It's nice that you know all this stuff. But we're looking for a guy who knows this. I was like, well, the guy who knows that picked it up in a weekend workshop. Yeah, but it's not on your resume, and you don't really know it all that well. I was like, I can pick it up real quick. No, that's all right. Did we also mention that the guy that we wants to do all this specific stuff, we want to pay him $45,000 a year? I was like, gee, I wonder why this job's always listed. Bitter. It's not really unlike I was going. Created another dating profile. I decided to give Plenty of Fish a try. And before it was like me, I was just desperate to try to be with someone. Now it's kind of cool. Dating online, an online dating site's kind of fun now. When you have no expectations whatsoever, and you're not really looking or looking that hard, it's hilarious. You go out there, she's 40 years old, 40 pounds overweight, got 5 kids. And she got pictures of her in a moo-moo eating ice cream. And then you're looking at her about page and it says, don't call me if you got this. I'm looking for a man who's got this, and this. I said, gee, I wonder why you're still looking, sister. Their responses are pithy one-liners that they heard their pastor say, so they just repeat it, not really delving deeper into why that phrase might or might not work. The feeling I get though, there's not a lot of guys, but there are guys. There are guys that are out there and they're having a feast. That's what I'm saying. Right now it's a feast for the guys, and it's a miserable time for the ladies. Some of those profiles, though, they break my heart, man. It's a sweet woman. She's been through a lot. You can tell that her ex just really drained a lot of her confidence. And you're walking into that messy situation, and she's got kids, and she's just looking for somebody to get her through it. And then you see on the profile it says separated. And there's just so many things wrong with that profile. It doesn't say divorced. It says separated. And that's like a red flag. It tells you, hey, he's not supposed to be in the picture, but he might still come around every once in a while, and then it's bad for me to deal with that, or you're gonna have to deal with it too, along with the kids. And you just kind of freeze up for a second. It's like, I don't want to be the second banana. You don't want to be the in-betweener while she's trying to get through all of this, hoping that one day basically you're the backup quarterback. You're holding her. You're some guys, they might be the third string quarterback. You're the guy holding the clipboard with the headphones on. You'll never get into the game, but it's important for you to be on the camera, listening to what the primary and the backup quarterback are doing. While holding that clipboard for the coach. And then you get the women on the internet saying, I don't understand why I can't find a good guy. It's like, no, you can't understand why you can't find a good third string quarterback, because nobody wants to be a third string quarterback. Does it suck being the fallback guy? It can, until you realize you have so much free time. And if you work at it, you won't be the fallback guy forever. It's always funny to hear that the 2 or 3 women have you as their fallback guy, and then when you tell them, yeah, I'm dating someone or I'm with someone, all of a sudden their heart sinks. But you were my backup, man. Ain't your backup anymore. What's she like? You don't need to know. That ship has sailed. Stops talking to you for a while. It's weird. I'm upset that you're not my backup anymore. Shit happens. Anyway, you get off on that old tangent. So in one walk you've heard over and over again my adult rants and diatribes. We all got this going on. Struggling with mental illness, struggling in relationships, struggling because the world didn't appreciate our gifts or whatever. But at the end of the day, I'm walking around in a nice, cool, quiet environment. Well, mostly quiet. A lot of assholes going shopping or maybe going home. It would piss me off to think that they're just out here to be out here. I just concentrate on what might come happen tonight. There's going to be corn chips and soup, a Maverick game, some Daredevil, some uploading of YouTube videos. Maybe I'll start reading some more of Astro City. Astro City's pretty good. Every once in a while it gets kind of cliched though. Yeah, the one with the silver agent. It's kind of cool. It was an interesting concept, but it got a little too preachy or hopeful at the end. It's about these two black brothers that their parents got killed, and for a long time they held a grudge against the guy who let their parents get killed, He was like this Captain America prototype or archetype. And we spent all these years embittered and dysfunctional because of this. One guy became an extreme goody-goody, you know, followed the law, and the other guy went into the criminal element. By the end of the story, their lines had blurred. Like one guy, he got kicked out of law enforcement. He got hurt. He wouldn't go along with some crooked cops. And the other guy, he went from being a small-time crook to being a henchman, to damn near being the henchman's right hand. I mean, to being the villain's right hand. In fact, he was the villain's right hand. And the lines blurred, and they became independent, strong agents of vengeance, I guess is what you want to call it. They didn't care about anything else but going after this one guy that had killed their parents. And they had all this power and they had all this ability to do good, and they didn't care. All they wanted was to get this one guy. And they finally tell you what happened with Silver Agent. Why he was unjustly incarcerated and then executed for a crime he didn't, that really wasn't his fault. I wondered if I live in Waxahachie. Of course, if you live in the boonies, you don't need parks to walk around. I think about that, man. And what if I lived in Oklahoma somewhere and I'm just like, I wanted to go for a walk? It would just be me walking around a bunch of farms late at night. Not late at night, but you know, after dark. Try not to get bit by whatever's out there. Hoping that Farmer Bob can see me in the middle of the night as I'm walking along the dirt country road. I do think about it. I go find a small town somewhere that's looking for a computer tech or somebody to teach computer science or something to kids. Sometimes I was thinking about that, just going back and getting like a teacher certificate or something. What kept me from teaching is the same that keeps me from dating, is hearing all the negative feedbacks, and then maybe just casting all that aside. Right now I'm just fighting through a lot of apathy. I just don't seem to care anymore. You get to the point where you start to confuse the apathy with the serenity of accepting things you cannot change. It's that thing that everybody wears around their necklace, you know, the necklace and the only reason I knew about it was because I read Kurt Vonnegut and he had it. It says, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to accept the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. And so the serenity to accept things you cannot change is sometimes mistaken for, I mean, where sometimes apathy is mistaken for that. Right now I'm at peace, but the problem is the peace is because I don't care. Good, man. That's my competition. He can treat her like shit and he can get away with it too. Who else you gonna go to? And you look at the guy and you think he's the one doing the wrong. It's like, you don't know that whole situation. He looks like he's had a long day with her. That was just the capitulation of it all. And there should be an OkCupid or whatever site with a laundry list of 5 guys or 5 things that she wanted every guy to have, and then pissed off she can't find this unicorn. She can't find a unicorn with a bouquet of 4-leaf clovers. And what do? I keep walking. I can't remember what his name was, David something. And the song was I'm Walking Away. You can't walk away, crawl away. If you can't crawl away, blow your brains out. But do not stay there. Do not get yourself stuck in the reactor. What the hell is this thing? Part of me thinks it's their break room. Other part of me just thinks it's a freezer. Living in a van down by the riverside. I was just thinking about how the guy was watching a show called Big Mouth, and the coach, he lives in a trailer, and he lives in a shipping container on a diaper barge, and yet he's still cheerful and happy. And I guess you're supposed to look down on that guy, but he's the most indefatigable character on the show. And instead of looking down on him, the character's like, "What's your secret?" I was like, "You have nothing." He even got to nail this one of the character's moms. I could do that. I've had so many opportunities for affairs, but I have a rule. I have a code. I don't steal from other men. Everybody hates that guy, man, but anybody can be him. It's so easy. You just have to listen. You just have to be there. You just have to be different from the guy they're with. But therein lies the problem. They're with somebody. If I didn't have a conscience, I could be such a great homewrecker. And sometimes you get mad about that. I tell you what else I don't have to worry about. I don't have to worry about somebody coming by my house with that drama. I'm not getting shot at by the husband. And I'm not getting confusing stares from their kids. Who are you again? I'm the walking dildo. I'm the walking dildo that might leave your mom with the... They might leave you with an accidental brother or sister and a lot of questions. But yeah, it's easy. By the way, that's the backup quarterback. The backup quarterback is the guy, is the cheater. What Willie D and all them they call him the cleanup man. The cleanup man is the backup quarterback. He'll get in there and be a superstar. Everybody will love him until he fucks up. And they don't want the starter back in there. Nice guys are third string quarterbacks. Holding the clipboard, hoping. Like, what position do you play? What position do I play? Ah, that's a good question. I'm not in the league. That's the only answer I get. I'm not really in the league. I'm not in the league, I'm not watching the games, but I hear things. I hear things and I chuckle a little bit. If anything, I'm the guy at home